Good afternoon. So we are beginning the class. Today we're looking at elasticity of demand. Elasticity of demand. So far we have studied the laws of demand and supply from a qualitative perspective. If you remember what we looked at in terms of the laws of demand and supply, we were just looking at the relationship. Can someone state for us the law of demand? Can someone state for us the law of demand, just to remember? What does the law of demand state? Yes, Chongo.
It states that there is a negative relationship between the price per unit and the quantity demanded, holding all factors constant.
Okay, thank you very much. Someone else to state for us the law of supply? The law of supply. Someone else to state for us the law of supply. I thought it was just, we can say the opposite of the law of demand, so it must be straightforward. I need someone to state for us the law of supply. Yes, Jackson?
The law of supply says that there is a negative relationship between the price per unit and quantity demand, holding other factors constant.
The first part, there is a what?
There is a negative relationship between the price per unit and quantity demand, holding other factors constant.
The law of supply.
Yeah. I was only trying to, I don't know.
Okay. Someone else to state for us the law of supply. Yes?
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, afternoon.
The law of supply simply states that there is a positive relationship between the price of goods and the quantity supplied.
Okay. Holding other factors constant. Okay, correct. So it's
Exactly.
yes. Okay, so it's the positive. The law of supply, the relationship is positive between the price per unit and the quantity supplied, holding other factors constant. We know the other factors we are holding constant. The law of demand is that there is a negative relationship between the price per unit and the quantity demanded, holding other factors constant. So when we look at the laws of supply and demand, what we are looking at in our perspective is qualitative, meaning we're just looking at the relationship is negative or it's positive. We are not looking at the magnitude of the relationship. Okay, for example, there's a negative relationship between price per unit and quantity demanded, but we have not discussed by how much the quantity demanded is likely to change if there's a certain change in the price of the commodity. So the concepts of demand and supply only tell us the direction of the change in quantity demanded or quantity supplied. And they say nothing about the magnitude of this change. So it is just giving us the direction of the change, positive or negative, but we have no information concerning the magnitude of this change. So it is the concept of elasticity, which is what we are looking at today, which explains not only the direction, but also the magnitude of the change in quantity demanded or quantity supplied. It is the concept of elasticity, which explains not only the direction, but also the magnitude of the change in quantity demanded or quantity supplied. So this topic is just looking at quantifying the relationships between the price and the quantity demanded and the quantity supplied. Okay, quantifying that relationship. Yes, we know it's positive with price and quantity demanded, but different goods have different responses to a change in the price. That is why we're looking at elasticity. Can someone just give me a broad understanding, just from your own understanding, what you get from the word elasticity or the word elastic? What comes into your mind when you hear the word elastic or elasticity? What comes into your mind when you hear the word elastic? Here, there's no wrong answer. Yes. You can answer. Yes. Yes, John.
Something capable of stretching or expanding.
Or expanding.
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
Yes.
So stretching or expanding, that's what John gets from that. Anyone else to give us what they get from the word elasticity or elastic? Elasticity or elastic, what do we mean? Yes, Collins?
Elastic is a material that expands when force is applied to, and it returns to its original form. The force is
Okay. So it's like Collins, remember this physics, eh? Yes, that's what we mean by elasticity or elastic. So here, what we are looking at here is that there is a force we want to apply, and then there's something that is going to respond to that force. Okay, the same logic. What is the force? The force is a change in the price of the commodity. Okay, so when the price of a commodity changes, but we're going to quantify the change in the price as well, because we're looking at, is the change going to be, let's say, by 1%, or is the change going to be by 2%? Okay, is it a 1% change? Is it a 2% change in the price? Then we are interested in seeing what would be the response of the quantity demanded, or what would be the change in the quantity demanded, which is now the thing that is responding. So the force is the change in the price, quantifying it by what percentage the price has changed, and then we are looking at by what percentage, or quantifying also the response or the change in the demand. Okay, if the demand changes a lot following a small change in the price, then we are going to say the demand is elastic, meaning that just like the rubber band, it stretches a lot after a small change in the price. If the change in the price leads to a very minimal change in the demand, meaning that it is not elastic, okay, it doesn't stretch as you would think. Okay, so this is the concept of elasticity. So it is actually going to quantify for us the response of the quantity demanded or the quantity supplied following a change in the price. It will not only give us the direction, but it will also give us the magnitude of the change. So let's move on to the concepts of elasticity. So we have demand elasticity, which measures the responsiveness of demand or quantity demanded. Then we also have supply elasticity, which measures the responsiveness of supply or the quantity demand or the quantity supplied. So we have demand elasticity, which measures the responsiveness of demand to the changes in the price. Okay. Then we have supply elasticity, which measures the responsiveness of the supply to a change in the price or a change in something else. So we are looking at the responsiveness of the quantity supplied. On the demand elasticity, we are looking at the responsiveness of the quantity demanded. Okay, how much it will change following a change in another factor. One of those factors is the change in the price. Giving you homework. This topic will only focus on demand elasticity, which is A. So you need to read on supply elasticity, And the specific areas we are reading are the types of supply elasticities and the factors which influence elasticity of supply. So you're going to read on your own the second concept of elasticity, which is supply elasticity. And then you're focusing on the types of supply elasticities and then the factors which influence elasticity of supply. Okay, so I'll focus on demand elasticity. Why? Because this is just like one side of the coin. Then we just have to change the concepts to apply it to supply. So you're going to apply it to supply on your own. So I'll just focus on demand elasticity. So let's begin with the concepts under demand elasticity. So the concepts under demand elasticity. So there are three major types of demand elasticity. There are three major types of demand elasticity. The first one is called price elasticity of demand. Price elasticity of demand, which is the response of demand to price changes. Okay, which is what I've been talking about maybe from the start of the class. Price elasticity of demand. This is the response of the demand or the quantity demanded to changes in the price of the commodity. Okay. The second one is income elasticity of demand. Income elasticity of demand. This one is the response of demand to income changes or changes in the consumer's income. Obviously, if your income changes or the income of consumers changes, we know that the demand is going to change. But here now we are quantifying if the income changes by this percentage, by how much is the demand expected to change? So that is called income elasticity of demand. The third one is cross price elasticity of demand. Cross price elasticity of demand. This is the response of demand to a cross price change or cross price changes. I'll explain further when we look at this cross price elasticity later on, but just to give you a heads up, this is about how the demand of a certain commodity, let's say the demand for bread, is going to respond following a change in the price of butter, which is across different commodities. So that's why we're calling it cross price elasticity. Price elasticity looks at the change in the demand following the price of that commodity, the same commodity, changing. While cross price elasticity looks at the change in the demand of a certain commodity following a change in the price of another commodity. So it's cross price elasticity. The price changing is not the price of the commodity you're looking at in terms of the demand change. So the most important of these three concepts of demand elasticity is price elasticity of demand, which is the first one. Price elasticity of demand is the most important of the three and is therefore sometimes referred to as elasticity of demand. Imagine, the whole set of concepts are all elasticities of demand. There are three of them: price elasticity of demand, income elasticity of demand, and cross price elasticity of demand. But the first one is so important that sometimes you find you are asked to calculate the elasticity of demand, then it actually refers to the first one, which is the price elasticity of demand. So it's very important that the whole concept set of elasticity of demand will just refer to price elasticity of demand. Meaning that if you are not specific, we just say calculate the elasticity of demand. What we are meaning is calculate the price elasticity of demand. For the other two, the question will always be specific: income elasticity of demand, cross price elasticity of demand. Do we have questions so far before I proceed? Do we have any questions? Anything that you have not understood from where we started? Do we have questions? Anything that you have not understood? Okay, so I'm going to assume it's fine. There's a question. Yes, Agatha? Agatha?
Yes, demand. Yes. Sorry,
Yes, what's the question?
it's not a question. Can you explain a bit about cross price elasticity? I haven't understood.
Okay. Okay, so as I said earlier, cross-price elasticity is something that we are going to look at in more detail later on, because we're going to start with price elasticity of demand. However, I can give you a heads up to say that cross-price elasticity of demand is looking at the response of the demand of a certain commodity following a price change in another commodity, which is not the commodity we are looking at here. Okay, so for example, when the price of butter changes, what will be the response in the demand of bread? Okay, so that is cross price elasticity, because it is not the price of bread which has changed, but the price of butter. But we are looking at the change in the demand for bread. That is what we are referring to as cross price elasticity. So we are moving from the price of one commodity, which is a related commodity, either a substitute or a complement. That's where the price has changed. And then we're looking at the demand of a different commodity, responding to a price of another commodity. So it's cross price elasticity of demand because of that. While the first one, which is price elasticity of demand, is looking at how the demand of a commodity like bread would change following the change in the price of bread, its own price, okay? Then is price elasticity of demand. Okay, so let's look at the first one in detail now, which is the price elasticity of demand. So let's define it. So what do we mean by price elasticity of demand? So we have a number of formal definitions. So, and then we're going to have two equations which are going to back up what we mean by these definitions. So the first definition, this is the responsiveness of quantity demanded to a change in the price of the good, given consumer income, tastes, and price of all other goods. This is the responsiveness of quantity demanded to a change in the price of the good. So that is what is critical here, to note that we are interested in responsiveness. How responsive, or how much will the quantity demanded change, okay, as a result of the change in the price of the good. The responsiveness of the quantity demanded to a change in the price of the good. Given consumer income, taste, and price of other goods, that simply means that we are holding these other ones constant. So it's not the income which is changing, it's not the taste, it's not the price of other goods. Here we are interested in only the change in the price of the good itself, and what will be the response of the quantity demanded. It is also defined as the degree of responsiveness or sensitivity. It is also defined as the degree of responsiveness or sensitivity of quantity demanded to a change in its own price. It is also defined as the degree of responsiveness or sensitivity of quantity demanded to a change in its own price. Sometimes we actually call price elasticity of demand on price elasticity of demand, on price. So sometimes we call it on price elasticity of demand. Okay, so we call it on price elasticity of demand. Why? Because we want to emphasize the fact that it is the price of this same commodity which is changing, and then we are looking at the responsiveness or the sensitivity of its quantity demanded. So sometimes we can call it on price elasticity of demand. Okay, it is a measure of relative change in quantity demanded in response to a relative change in its price. It is a measure of relative change in quantity demanded in response to a relative change in its price. Another way of saying relative change is to say a percentage change. So it's a measure of the percentage change in the quantity demanded in response to a percentage change in the price. So here's the first, here's the formula. So price elasticity is equals to percentage change in the quantity demanded, which is what we mean by quantity here, divided by the percentage change in the price. So you simply get what the percentage change in the quantity demanded is, and then you divide that by the percentage change in the price. The number that you are going to get will be called the price elasticity. Okay, so we're going to discuss later on how to also interpret this value you're going to get, because it has a meaning in terms of what we get as a response of the demand following a change in the price. The mathematical way of writing this formula is to use these notations. So EP is price elasticity, is equals to, this is percentage, this stands for change. So percentage change in quantity demanded, which is Q here, divided by the percentage change in the price. So this is a simple summary way of writing this formula. Okay, so price elasticity is equals to the percentage change in Q over the percentage change in P. That's what price elasticity of demand is. So this is the formula we're going to be using to calculate the price elasticity of demand. Now, another issue which is critical in this formula is that we are taking it for granted that you have the percentage change in the quantity and the percentage change in the price. Sometimes you don't have the percentage change in the quantity and the percentage change in the price. What you have are the changes in prices and changes in quantities. So to find the percentage changes, we subtract the initial value from the final, and then we divide by the initial before multiplying by 100. Please avoid writing on the screen. Okay, so to find the percentage changes, we subtract the initial from the final, and then we divide by the initial before multiplying by 100. Okay, and this will be made clear when we look at an example to see what we mean by getting the percentage changes. So we just now I'm going to say that we find the percentage changes by subtracting the initial from the final, and then we divide by the initial before multiplying by 100. Okay, so let me move on to interpretations, and then we'll look at some examples on how to calculate the elasticity and how to make the interpretations. So the price elasticity of demand is always negative. That's important to always note. So here is a very good conclusion that you should always bear in mind. Even when you go into an exam and you calculate the price elasticity of demand, if you find a positive, your answer is wrong. You can just know that, and then you can make sure that you try to find where the mistake is, because the answer is always negative. The price elasticity of demand is always negative. This is because of the negative relationship between price and quantity demanded. So in other words, if the price is increasing, which is a positive change, the quantity demanded is going to be reducing, which will be a negative change. So when you divide these two, you always have a positive and you have a negative. So the answer will always be negative. Okay, this is because of the negative relationship between the price and the quantity demanded. So the answer will always be negative. It is therefore advisable to ignore the negative sign when making interpretations. For making interpretations, we usually ignore the negative sign, because when you start saying greater than or less than with negative numbers, it becomes a bit complex, because it happens to be that the bigger number is actually smaller. So it brings confusion. But so therefore, when we are trying to make interpretations, we usually ignore the negative sign, but the answer is always negative. We just ignore it when we are trying to make an interpretation. The symbol we use is this one here, which stands for the fact that we have ignored the negative sign, such that we are looking at the result as a positive value. Okay, so here's the set of interpretations we can make now. So if the answer we get, ignoring the negative sign, is greater than 1, we say that it is elastic. Okay, if the answer we get is greater than 1, we say that it is elastic. If the answer we get after ignoring the negative sign, is less than 1, we say that it is inelastic. If the answer we get is less than 1, we say that it is inelastic. If the answer we get is equal to 1, we say that it is unit elastic. So if the answer we get is equal to 1, we say that it is unit elastic. So those are the 3 interpretations we'll be making: elastic, inelastic, and unit elastic. Whenever you calculate the elasticity, it is a must that you should provide the interpretations as well. Most of the times, the answer for the elasticity and the interpretations carry equal marks. For example, if you have calculated the elasticity and you've given the answer as a negative something, you will get, let's say, 1 mark. Then the interpretation of that answer also carries 1 mark. So if you forget the interpretation, it means that you get half of what you were supposed to get. So you're always expected to interpret the elasticity after calculating it. That's why it's important to know the interpretations. Okay, I hope that is clear. I think it will be made clear when we look at the example. So let's start with the first example. We make some calculations. So this will help us know what we're trying to do. So find the price elasticity of demand for the following commodities given the following situations. The first one, the demand for Fanta reduced by 20% following a 5% increase in the price. The demand for Fanta reduced by 20% following a 5% increase in the price. So I'll be asking questions so that you can be solving together. What is the percentage change in the quantity? In this case, what is the percentage change in the quantity? That's the question. I want someone to answer. What is the percentage change in the quantity in this case? Yes? The demand for Fanta reduced by 20% following a 5% increase in the price. What is the percentage change in the quantity? This is a very, very simple question. So I don't expect all this time to just answer it. Yes, Ruth?
The percentage difference in quantity is 20.
Yes, it's 20%. Okay, so thank you very much. So here we have 20%. Okay, so that is the percentage change in the quantity, it's 20%. What is the percentage change in the price? What's the percentage change in the price? Yes, Collins?
5%, sir.
5%, right? You can see it there, right? Okay, so it's 5%. Thank you. Now, what is the elasticity? So what is the elasticity? So I'm only seeing the same people answering the questions when there are a lot of people in this class. Where are the new people? Yes, Aubrey. What's the elasticity?
I think sir, the elasticity is 4.
It is 4. What would we say about the sign of the elasticity?
Sorry?
What did we say about the sign of the elasticity? Okay, it is 4. Can somebody tell us what is missing in this calculation we have done? Yes?
The negative sign.
The negative sign, where is it coming from? The negative sign.
Because you say it's elasticity, the price of elasticity is always negative.
Yes, where has the negative come from? Because we have 20%, we are dividing by 5%. Which of these two is negative? Okay. All right. Someone else to help us? Yes, Mukove.
Price.
There? Which one is negative?
I just joined the class, but I'm going to answer. I just joined the class. I feel price is negative because of the negative relationship between
Okay.
price and demand.
Okay. I hope these people are trying to answer the question that I'm asking. Oh. Yes, Chikuku.
I think the negative comes from the demand because the question says it's reducing. So if there's a reduction, then it's negative, I think.
Yes, you're right. Okay, that's correct. So the negative is on the 20. So if we go to the formula, let me just write the formula here so that I can show you what we are trying to do. So remember the formula, it is price elasticity is equals to percentage change in the quantity, which is in this case negative 20%. Okay, so it is this one that we are going to divide by. It is this one which we're going to divide by what? By 5%. Okay, which is what is giving us the -4. So in this case, we have the percentages. We already have the percentages. All we have to do is to divide these percentages. So we have -20% because the fact that the demand is reducing, so it's -20. The price has increased, so this is positive. This is 5%. So we're going to divide the 20. So the 5 into the 20 gives us -4. Can someone give us the interpretation of this elasticity? Can somebody give us the interpretation of this elasticity? What is our interpretation? Yes, Aubrey? Aubrey?
I'm still thinking about it, sir.
You're still thinking about it? Okay. Anyone else? Jackson?
It is elastic.
It is elastic, yes. Thank you very much, Jackson. So this is elastic. Why are we saying it is elastic? Well, because if you ignore the negative sign, this is 4, and 4 is greater than 1. So that means it is elastic. Remember our interpretations. We go back here. If the value is greater than 1, it is elastic. If it is less than 1, it is inelastic. If it is equal to 1, it is unit elastic. So in this case, the value is greater than 1. If you ignore the negative, then it is elastic. So this is the answer for the first question. It's as simple as that. -4 and elastic. So you get a mark for this -4 and you get a mark for saying it is elastic. Let me move on to the second question, second example. After an increase in the price of sugar from 35 kwacha to 50 kwacha, the demand dropped by 10%. After an increase in the price of sugar from 35 kwacha to 50 kwacha, the demand dropped by 10%. So let's ask the same questions we asked previously with the way we were solving the first question. So in this case, what is the quantity demanded? What is the percentage change in the quantity? What is the percentage change in the price? In this case, what is the percentage change in the quantity? What is the percentage change in the price? Yes, John?
In quantity, 42.8%. or 42.9%.
The percentage change in the quantity is what?
42.8.
Okay. You can think some more, John. Aubrey?
I'm still calculating, sir.
There's no need to calculate. Okay, let me hear from Agatha. Yes?
10%, sir.
10%. Is it positive or negative? Please take note of that.
The 10%.
Is it
It's
positive or
negative?
It's negative, yes. Always say the sign as well. So this is negative. The quantity demanded, or the demand dropped by 10%. So here we have negative 10%. So people are rushing to calculate instead of looking at which one we have been given. So we already have the percentage change in the quantity, which is negative 10%. It's given here at the end. What we need is the percentage change in the price. Okay, so that's the question now I'm asking. What is the percentage change in the price? So what is the percentage change in the price? So he said there's an increase in the price of sugar from 35 kwacha to 50 kwacha. Anyone to give us the answer? Anyone to give us an answer? Yes, John?
This one is now 42.8, I think.
Okay. Positive or negative? Is it positive?
It's positive.
Okay. So it's 42.86%, and it's positive. Thank you very much. So how do we get this 42.86% will be the next question. Because here we are not given the percentage. We are only given the changes, okay, in the price. It moves from 35 kwacha to 50 kwacha. Remember the statement that I gave you about how to find the percentage. Let me just go back there so that I read it for you again. So it says to find the percentage changes, we subtract the initial from the final and then divide by the initial before multiplying by 100. Okay, so what is the final value here? The final is 50, because it changes from 35 to 50. 50 is the final. 35 is the initial, right? So we said it's going to be 50, the final, minus 35, then divide by 35 times 100. Okay, that's what will give us this percentage. I hope you have gotten that. Let me just show it here. So we're saying the percentage change in the price is equals to 50 minus 35, then divide by 35, then times 100. Okay, so this is what gives us what answer? 42.86%. Okay, so this is what you should be doing to find the percentage changes. So it's the final minus the initial divided by the initial multiplied by 100. What is the elasticity in this case? What is the elasticity in this case? So what is the elasticity in this case? Yes, Wupe?
0.23.
Positive or negative, Wupe?
Negative.
Yes, you should always give me the negative. 0. What?
23.
Okay. Thank you. So the answer is negative 0.233. Okay, that's the answer. So negative 0.23. What's our interpretation? What is our interpretation? Yes, is it Pande?
Yes, it's inelastic.
Inelastic. Okay, thank you. So this one is inelastic because if you ignore the negative sign again, it is less than 1. So this is inelastic. Okay, so this is inelastic. For those who have not followed the computations, let me just again give you the computation here. So it is elasticity, which is EP, is equals to, in this case, the percentage change in the quantity is -10, and the percentage change in the price is 42.86. Sorry. So this is -10% divided by 42.86%. Okay, this is what gives us negative 0.23. And we have said this is inelastic. It is inelastic because if you ignore the negative, this number is less than 1. So it is inelastic. Okay, so that's all for the second question. Let's go to the third one. The third one says the demand for bread increased from 200 to 250 per day after the manager reduced the price by 20%. The demand for bread increased from 200 to 250 per day after the manager reduced the price by 20%. So what is the price elasticity? So let's start again by looking at the information that we have. We check for the percentage change in the quantity and percentage change in the price. So in this case, what is the percentage change in the quantity? What is the percentage change in the quantity in this case? Wupe, you have an answer?
No, sir, no.
Okay. John?
It's 25%.
It is what?
25%.
Okay, so how did you find the 25%?
You subtract 200. I mean 250 minus 200. That's the increase.
Yes.
Can you get me?
Yes, I can
Yes,
get.
that's the increase. Yes, that's the increase you get in the numbers.
The demand for bread.
And then okay, from there you You find the percentage by which the bread increased.
Okay, so when you subtract 250 by 200, you get 50. You divide it by what?
You get a 50. Then you divide the 50 by 200. And then multiply it by 100 to get the percentage.
Yes, that's correct. Okay, so here we have 25%. Is it positive or negative? This is positive because it's an increase. The demand for bread increased from 200 to 250 per day, which is 25% increase. What about the price? What about the price? What is the percentage change in the price? Yes, Chongo?
It's negative 20.
It's negative?
20.
Yes, okay. So this is negative 20. Negative 20%. The price reduced. Manager reduced the price by 20%. So this is negative 20. Okay. What is the elasticity? What is the elasticity? What is the elasticity? Yes? What's the elasticity?
I think the elasticity is negative 1.25.
Negative 1.25. Yes, okay. Thank you. So this is negative 1.25. Negative 1.25. What's the interpretation? Anyone to give us the interpretation? Yes, what's the interpretation? What's the interpretation? Yes, Joseph?
It's elastic.
Elastic. Okay. Okay, so this is elastic. Why? Because the value, if you ignore the negative, is greater than 1. So this is elastic. So this is the answer for this question. So it's negative 1.25, and the interpretation is that this is elastic. I'm going to give you the last one as your homework. So you will do this on your own. So it says after the price, this is supposed to be rice. After the price of rice increases from 80 kwacha to 100 kwacha, the sales reduce from 300 to 200 per day. After the price of rice increased. After the price of rice increased from 80 kwacha to 100 kwacha, the sales reduced from 300 to 200 kwacha, 200 per day. So these are bags, okay? So you need to find the price elasticity. So the price of rice increased from 80 to 100, the sales reduced from 300 to 200 per day. Your homework is to find the price elasticity. So do we have any questions before we end the class? Do we have any questions? Yes, Collins.
It's not a question. Just the video for the previous lecture we had, you did not post.
Okay, I'll post it today.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other question? Is that a question? Is that a question? So some of you haven't yet renamed yourselves in the profile. So it's hard for me to call your name if it is iPhone 26, you know, Infinix, and the like. So you need to change those. Put your name there. Do you have anyone with a question? Okay, so